What's up, YouTube? What's going on, rest of the world? You reached us on our Good Karma Group Day. I guess we'll call it Sunday, I guess, but it is NFL playoff weekend, so we got a full crowded room for you guys. We got some good picks. We have a great show ahead of you guys that we're looking forward to. Hopefully, we'll get some money in your pocket. Maybe Sean, who we'll have on the show, will possibly explain some benefits as to why you should go with the underdogs for this weekend, or maybe not. So hopefully everybody's doing good. January 28th, I'm Zach as well with Good Karma Group. I hope that everybody is tuned in good graces. You guys got something to consume, drink, or smoke before this game, because it's all about pregame and getting ready for the playoffs, a little pre-funk. Hopefully your team is still in it. If not, we're still tuning in because we're all addicted to football too, right? So about that, again, we have a great panel today. We got a lot of sports fans that'll give our insights today. The number one guy that I'll bring out today, you guys all know him well. He is my co-host as well with the Good Karma Group. A guy that is a betting aficionado, I guess I should call him, a prognosticator, some will call him as well. I call him the GOAT, Big Sean. What's going on? How you doing, brother?
The best intros in the game. I appreciate you, man. I'm doing great.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Got one more that I'm about to bring out before we get to the full discussion. But how are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great, man. I'm stoked. I'm jacked up for championship football. You know, it's the best weekend in football before the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I'm stoked. I've been watching football with friends, making bets with my friends since my early teens. And, I mean, I was neck deep in prop bets this morning. I got a couple funny stories about that as well. But I'm in my zone, man. Sunday, little break from the work week, doing what we love. So, happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, next up on the roster, we're going to bring out, this is a fellow that's newer to the Good Karma Group, but by all means, that doesn't mean that he's any less different than anybody else. He's still an expert in sports. He's an expert in weed. He's an expert in about 5 other things that we probably can't even mention, that he'll probably talk to you guys about here later on in life. Amazing guy. My other co-host will bring on the great Matt. What's going on with you, Matt?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me, and look forward to having an awesome show. And, Sean, I'm ready to make a couple bets with you, depending on who you got today.
Awesome.
Yeah, let me take some of that money.
Let's go. Well, we'll see.
Got one more guest. We got one more guest in the batter's box, guys. You guys all know him as well. Another one of my co-hosts, a guy that brings a wealth of knowledge about a plethora of things. He killed that last podcast about aliens and about alien technology and UFO technology and what a skiff was. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and bring him out without further ado. Big Steve, what's going on with you, bro?
What's going down, fellas?
What's up, Steve?
Sorry, man. I got to play dad today. Sometimes that kid shit gets in the way.
Sometimes you got to do it. That's the priority. No worries.
That's right. We got to run it, man. It's good to see you guys. How goes it?
Absolutely, man. It's Sunday. We're talking football. Talking football,
that
fellas.
red coat. That shit is filthy, bro.
Right?
Yeah, man. It ain't snowing out today, so I got the top down. You know what I'm saying? Get ready to chill out with my fellas. So it's gonna be a good conversation here. Yeah, exactly.
Matt's no avatar there. What is that? That's like the egg on Twitter Matt has going on right now. No one's gonna notice that with Zach in the red coat, so we're good to go.
Hey, let me show you what happens when you go visit Matt. Come back. This.
Let's go.
That.
Oof.
I'm not trying to put you out, Matt. I'm not trying to put you on the scene.
On the weekend, that sounds like a weed hangover.
I'm about to get barbecued for these games. Let me just tell you, I got a driver lined up. We about to have a good ass time, man.
Well, let's go.
Got my workout in. We're good.
Yeah, gotta make sure my boys are, stocked up for championship weekend.
Sir.
That's awesome.
Sir.
All right.
I love it.
There's Marty.
So we have the Chiefs versus Ravens that's going to be coming up first. That one's going to be on noon Pacific Standard Time. Our time, we're on the West Coast, 3 for the folks on the East Coast. This game is actually going to be played in Baltimore this year. So this is the first time that the Chiefs has had an AFC Championship game under the Patrick Mahomes era that they've had to play on the road. Very, very, intense matchup. We already know the Ravens is the favorite. Lamar Jackson is looking like he's going to win his second MVP and possibly on his way to the Super Bowl as well. We saw what happened this past season, this offseason, with the disputes with Lamar and trying to get him back in the Ravens uniform and how they didn't really show him the respect that he needed or deserved. And, oh, look at the kitties. Hey, hey. But so just to break this one down, the Chiefs are 13-6. The Ravens are 14-4. Some of the crazy stats that I looked up as well, too, in association with this is that Baltimore is on a 7-game – well, they won 7 of their last 8 matchups recently. Chiefs have won 3 straight on the road recently. The Ravens are the 4.5-point favorites today. They have a 12-6 records against the spread this season as well, too. It's something I know Sean will probably get into.
Did
But,
you say 12-6 against the spread?
The Ravens are 12-6 against the spread this season, yeah, and they're a 4.5-point favorite on this one. The over and under is 44.5 points. But dig this: Kansas City has won 4 of its 5 last games against Baltimore. Sean, I'm gonna pass it to you, brother. What's your thoughts on this whole game right off the top of your head?
Yeah, no, great intro. You tapped into a couple of things that I was going to mention. Just to piggyback off what Zach said there. The line started at -3 for Baltimore, and then it moved to Baltimore -4.5. And in my experience, that is just due to public betting overall. It can be indicative of, it can be indicative of some Las Vegas, strategic play as they want to encourage more people to take the Chiefs, obviously, this week because they keep raising the line up. It's up to 4.5 points now. And that's a lot for a game that should be led by these two teams' defenses. The Chiefs are 20-10-1 as road dogs straight up. So that means as underdogs, they win the game, 20 out of 30 times. So that's huge. That's massive. That means that this position isn't anything new to them. They have 30 of these under their belt recently, and
Hey,
they
Sean,
also
how long is that? Is that over like the last 2 seasons or 3 seasons or under Mahomes or what?
No, so they're not road dogs. They're probably road dogs, I would say, about a few times a season. So this is over the course of a decade about that. So, I mean, but this team is not, anything new to being underdogs, even though they've been so dominant. And when they are underdogs, they seem to win. One thing, Mahomes is 9-1 as an underdog against the spread. So with the points that you give Mahomes, 9 times out of 10, he's won them, covered.
Oh, wow.
Which is amazing. And out of those 9 times, they won as underdogs 8 out of those 9 games. So, I mean, it's almost like this gets them jacked up, which is huge. Again, points in a defensive battle is going to be huge. Baltimore defense led the NFL in sacks and takeaways this year. So expect at least one of those, I would say. Yeah, man, I got a lot more, but I'm going to let those kind of marinate and let me know if you guys have any questions about those. And we'll get into some picks later. I'm super excited.
Can't really discount, that Taylor Swift's going to be calling the plays from the press box either.
They sure seem to have gotten over the Taylor Swift bump.
What's the prop bet for how many times they show her on TV today?
That's a great.
I don't know, but
I'm gonna say 80.
We got
minimum.
I would say, you know what? If somebody was taking a shot of tequila every time that they saw Taylor on the screen, they'd be drunk. Or you could do a prop bet for every time you see Patrick Mahomes complain with the ref, you got to take a shot. or you got to take a dab hit. You know what I mean? One thing I saw, fellas, though, that was really interesting about this game, and we see you, Niner gang, whoever you are. We're going to get to your team here in a minute. Appreciate you tuning in, whoever you may be. But
Someone's excited for Debo to be back.
Somebody's really excited. Niner gang's over there excited. He's in the chat ready to go. But Travis Kelce, fellas, did you see what he showed up wearing to the game today?
I did not. I'm interested.
He showed up wearing all black. He looks like a Russian hitman that's kind of good at his job. He had like the little watch cap, the little beanie cap, the shoreman cap, and like some long, I guess you call them like high top, but they were like long heeled Air Force Ones as well too. You know, so yeah, it was pretty wild.
He has the most fun in the NFL. If there was an award for someone that has the most fun each year, I mean, obviously this year, but my guy Travis takes it every year, and his brother's number 2.
Yeah. So I mean, he's showing up like that is making a good impact, you know, a good showing for the team, I guess. But it could also be detrimental. You know how those go when you start showing up for the team. Like the one person that pulled it off this year was Deebo Samuel. Steve put me onto that about Deebo, but we'll get to that here in a second. What else do we got to cover for the Ravens and Chiefs games, guys? Steve, you got any thoughts on this, or go ahead and finish up, Sean?
No, Steve, please interject, and then I have some more stats that we'll wrap up before I make my pick.
Man, I can't remember being this excited about an AFC Championship game for a minute, man. For a long minute. This is going to be a great matchup. Baltimore's defense, I think, is built to stop the spread attack that Holmes and Reed roll out there, and it's going to be an amazing chess match to watch. If you're a Seahawks fan like I am, we're watching McDonald's defense because it sounds like as of this morning we're going to have an official interview with him, which I'm excited as shit about. And
is that the defensive coordinator for the Ravens?
Yeah. That's the coordinator for the Ravens, and that dude is just a football psychopath in the best way. So I can't wait for this game, man. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's just two teams. I think the Ravens are going to bully them. I think they're going to come out on top.
Well said.
Matt,
Steve,
what you think, bro?
There we go.
I mean, I agree with Steve. I'm more excited. This is an AFC Championship game that I'm actually excited for. Probably the first one in about 3 years since that Chiefs-Bills game. That was just the most asinine last, 5 minutes of a game that I've ever seen in my life. I think this is going to be more of a defensive battle. If I was going to pick, I'd probably go with the under today, as far as the points over under, because he said it was like 54.5, or was it 44.5?
44.5.
44.5.
44.5.
Pretty low.
Yeah, that's actually really low. Damn, it's gonna be close too. I'm always blown away by how good the people that that set the lines, like the bookies, are. It blows me away. Like, I went to a Gonzaga game this year. This has nothing to do with football. And Gonzaga was a 40-point favorite. Like, I don't know how you calculate that. They won by 39 points.
Wow.
Oh my
like,
God.
I was blown the frick away. There's just no way. I think it's going to be a great game. I think this is Lamar Jackson's coming out party where he actually starts to dominate, because he's been amazing in the regular season, but not so amazing in the playoffs. So yeah, I'm really excited for the game, and I have the Ravens by a touchdown. I think they're gonna beat the spread, that 4.5 points.
Cool.
Okay,
Good
so we got
pick,
2 for the Ravens so far, 3 for the Ravens. You guys are all in the Ravens? In on the Ravens?
Well, no, I have my pick here coming up. But I do agree with Matt on one thing. I definitely agree on the under. So that'll be the first one I throw out there is the under. I got the under 45. I bet early, but you can also buy 0.5 point for, 10% juice. So I would love to get under 44.5, but under 45 if possible. But if you have to take under 44.5, I'd still do it. Some reasons I didn't mention before why I think that's going to happen is Baltimore's getting a big player back with Marlon Humphrey in the secondary, and I think that's going to be huge for them. On the offensive side, Baltimore got back Mark Andrews as well. But to keep this on topic for the under, the Chiefs also have a good defense. This year, they were second in the NFL in scoring defense. So another reason that I think the under has good chances here. So I'm going with under on that game for sure. Another interesting point is Mahomes' total for passing yards and attempts is really low today. And with a low total and low passing, totals for Mahomes, and a line that I've watched raise from 13.5 to about 14.5 is Pacheco's carries. And so I think they're going to lean hard on him. I think he's going to rush 17 times or 14 times or more. So I'm taking Pacheco over 14 carries.
What's the weather like in Baltimore right now?
It's not too bad.
Hey, Sean, wasn't Pacheco questionable this morning?
He is, and I actually like
cleared?
that. I like it because he's going to play, but that questionable affects the bettors. And I actually like that we are taking a slight risk by taking him. I think it gives us a couple less carries on this under or on this over. Okay. And again, the bet, just so everyone is clear, is over Pacheco on carries, and his carries should be sitting right around 13.5, 14.5 at the most on most sports books.
I'm extreme. I'm a Madden guy, so I just go off of what Madden tells me. And Isaiah Pacheco is a freaking god, dude. I'm telling you that right now. That dude is amazing. He's a straight up dude. I think that just as much as it's going to be Lamar's, coming out party for the media and for the rest of the NFL world, if the ball goes into the Chiefs' favor, it'll be because of Isaiah Pacheco. I think that he's going to run the ball.
They're going to run
a lot of screen actions is probably going to be going to him to try and wear down this Baltimore defense early. You can't really throw the ball deep on them. Patrick Mahomes will have a whole lot of time for it. So I think a lot of quick screen passes and running plays to get these guys off of their balance on the defense is going to be what's going to be played early on. And now, if they can be able to withstand that and still be able to stay on the field, because with Lamar, the thing about Lamar is that he can be able to really cut out the time that the offense is on the field by his running capabilities. So that defense is going to be extremely tired, So his game management or his clock management is going to be imperative, I think, in this game. It's going to be my biggest things is Lamar Jackson's clock management and Isaiah Pacheco's ability to be able to disrupt the game from running the ball and from catching it in the backfield. I think that's going to be the two factors I'll be watching. But I think that the Chiefs are going to win. I think the Chiefs are going to pull it off.
And my last bet, just to wrap this one up, you guys, is there's a little bit of a risk bet, but you can get the Chiefs plus 7 points for about minus 180 odds. And I love that bet. I don't care that it's that risky because, it's not like we're throwing down 100 to win $50. We're getting a little bit better odds than that. And this is, like we said, I don't have to explain why, Mahomes is good with plus 7 points. Come on. So that one's a no-brainer. I'm taking that one at some slightly elevated odds, and then I'm taking the under 45 at that standard minus 110.
Oh,
you heard that, world. Take your bets with Big Sean. Hey, he ain't gonna have an insurance policy on those bets now. So you take him at your own risk.
Thank you.
If you win, hey, he'll give you the cash up afterwards. He'll be able to send you where you can give his commission fee for it. But hey, ain't no insurance policy on it if you lose, though. So
hey, if you lose, it's on you. Only bet what you can afford to lose, and make it fun for sure.
I like it, bro. Steve, what's your final thoughts on who you think's winning this game, man?
Man, again, I just think Baltimore, man, and Ben McDonald's defensive zone scheme is. If you watch the last game, the biggest thing I came away with was there were dudes waiting for guys to finish their route in the place where their route was supposed to be finished, if that makes sense. It was almost like they knew the play before the ball was snapped. And when they would throw a quick little out route into the flat, there were 5 guys over there just waiting for him, just coming in waves. in waves and just violent, just taking you to the ground. And it was all game. And CJ Stroud is a certified baller. We know that. And he has a squad, and they didn't do anything. It was almost like they had them schemed up before the game was over. So I know Patrick Mahomes is on his own planet. It's not Patrick I'm worried about. It's everyone else. Nobody on that roster outside of Kelce, and he's starting to slow down too, really impresses me on that offense. And I think it's going to catch up to him in this game, man.
Well
Steve,
said.
here's the first bit of chatter that McDonald is going to be the Seahawks coach, and he's on that bandwagon.
Yeah,
I'm driving
I was
that bus.
gonna bring that up.
It.
I was gonna bring that up. One more quick. Sorry guys, I got to interrupt, but it's a good interruption. And then we're past our 2-minute time for our 20 minutes for YouTube. So you guys say whatever the fuck y'all want to say now. So coming up to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy that got the best afro on YouTube in the Pacific Northwest. He is the first African American to be able to open up a social equity store in the state of Washington. The GOAT, the man himself, our legend, and our co-host will bring on Kelly, Mocha Magic Adams. What's going on with you, baby?
What's happening?
What's up, boys? It's good to see y'all, man. It's good to see y'all.
I'll give you a quick update in an elevator pitch as to what we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes or so. But first off, congratulations again, my brother, on your shop. We'll talk about that here in just a second if you want to give some more details to the viewers. If not, they can just find you on here however you want to have it. But just a quick little elevator pitch as to what we had going on. We just talked about the Ravens and Chiefs. We were just getting ready to discuss McDonald, who's the defensive coordinator, and how his schemes may end up marrying up to have him becoming the next head coach in Seattle, which may be a reason why they haven't announced who their new HC is going to be here. Maybe they're waiting until after the playoffs is done, the Super Bowl. I personally have the Chiefs. Sean gave us a great explanation about the betting wages and about how we can be able to, make some money off of this game. It sounds like he's going to be going with the spread or going against the spread, it sounds like, with it.
Yeah, I'm doing the under, Kelly.
Yeah,
I'm going under 45 for the first game, and I'm going Chiefs +7. It's a costly bet. You have to pay for some more points, but I'm going Chiefs +7, and I'm going under 45. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I think the points will come through on the Chiefs side. I do think Baltimore will edge them out, but I'm not betting that. I'm betting the under and then the Chiefs +7.
Yeah. So you have the Ravens, who are officially from Vegas Sportsbook 4.5-point favorites with the over and under 44.5 points. Matt, we're getting ready to get to his thoughts about that as well too. But since we brought you on the floor, bro, anything you want to say to our wonderful viewers, bro, before we get to Matt?
Well, I've got too much, man. I don't want to take us too much off a topic with this fucking awesome set of games that we have today. But just a little update for you guys. We've got that. We have a retail store coming out, and if you guys want to check anything, if you guys want to look up any information or try to find something, a little bit more information on it, just know that there will be a King 5 and Cairo News article and also some interviews that will go live either next week or the week after. And I'm sure we'll jump on the pod and let you guys know where you guys can look for that. And besides that,
the link will be in the description as well too. By the way, Kelly, we'll put the link in the description on this pod as well too, bro. Perfect.
And so, just jumping right back into football here. Man, Sean seems like he's got some good bets lined up. I'm starting out.
Shit, bro.
Sean knows the shit. Sean knows the shit. I might
deep dive last night, so we got a lot of info. A funny story: my brother, who's on the East Coast right now, he texted me super early this morning. He said, "Hey man, I got a little drunk and a little stoned and turned into fucking Rain Man. I made 20 parlays last night."
Whoa!
I like that.
He and I bet
Plenty of them
very
things.
differently, but we take each other's information and we come up with our best ideas. And I do think the under and the Chiefs with 7 points is a good call today.
I like it. I like it. Matt, what about you, buddy? What's your takes on this, man?
On the game?
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to it?
Oh, I mean, I think the Ravens are going to win. I agree with Steve that, the skill position players for the Chiefs have gotten worse and worse over the last 3 or 4 years. And Kelce's starting to slow down a little bit. So,
4.5 points. Think they're going to win by 5?
Oh,
We might have lost
it.
We'll get that pick in a
It's
second.
all good. Yep. Well, one thing before we get to, we'll talk about a couple more news before we get to this next game. But if you guys didn't see, or I think it was either late last night or early this morning, the Philadelphia Eagles, shout out to our boy Kyle. He just got him a new offensive coordinator. Did you guys hear about that?
Shout out Kyle. No, inform us.
Kellen Moore is going to be the Eagles' new offensive coordinator, fellas. The reports are that the Eagles have eyed him since Doug Peterson's been there, before their new coach, but since about 2020, they've eyed and had their eyes on him and been courting him, and it hasn't been happening. The biggest impact on it looks like it's going to be with Jalen Hurts, of course, with not trading him or not doing anything with him, keeping him around, and whatever the hell was happening with him this past season and late last season, or this past playoff run, it wasn't good. Who knows what was going on with my guy? But Kellen Moore, real quick, is going to be the new offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I just wanted to make sure we tapped on that one before we moved on. One more thing, too. We'll take a quick commercial break that we got to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Panda Supplements.
Awesome.
Guys, we just picked up a new provider for our supplements.
Yep.
I back it. I just placed a big order for it. Sean has placed the order for them. I think we should have our stuff arriving today now. Yeah, Matt has been a big user of it. Go to pandasups.com. If you see something that you guys like on there, I recommend the stimulants. I like the stimmies. I like to be able to feel like I'm on the edge of death right before I go to the gym. This will probably get you guys there with a little bit of weed, too. But if you go to pandasups.com, and if you see something you like on there and you want to get a discount, make sure you're taking care of your discount, and we're going to save you some money. When you go to the checkout, before you enter your credit card information, go ahead and type in all one word, Good Karma Group. That'll save you 15% at the checkout. We'll have our link in the description. If you use that link, you will also get an additional 10%. So we save you 25% if you just go to the fucking link that we're going to have on our page notes here and just place your order through us. We're going to save you 25%. So with that, I'll bring Matt back onto the stage, and then we'll talk about our next game that we have for the playoffs.
I think you were just talking about the Panda Sups, though, right?
Yeah. You got something you want to add on that?
No. These are my favorite workout supplements I've ever used. I got some before we even had our discount code and was pleasantly surprised to hear, that we became an affiliate, because the nootropics and just all of the different ingredients in this pre-workout, it's fantastic and effective. They suggest 2 scoops, and I'm doing 3/4 of a scoop, and it's intense. So, highly recommend.
Oh my God!
Zach would go 3 scoops. Zach would go 3.
Damn.
For the record, over under on Zach's scoops of the nootropic pre-workout is 2.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the show. If I take 3 scoops, I'm gonna take the show on the track. I'm gonna be running laps and shit, man. What's up?
From the Panda Subs, I just actually got the superfood. And so I treaded lightly, dipped my toes into just something that I needed that I hadn't been getting enough of. So it's a mix of a bunch of different superfoods. It's powdered and it actually tastes pretty good. I'm adding it to smoothies. I actually really like it as well. So, real use
That's
case
dope.
for and review for our newest partner.
Awesome, man. That's beautiful. Yeah, I got to try the superfoods. I saw that on the menu online, but I picked up their newest stimulant and the nootropics.
Nice.
So give me some energy going in my day. So we'll definitely be
Which
discussing that
pre-workout?
here.
Which one did you get, Zach?
I got the one with the dragon on it, the red or blue dragon that looks like he was about to have a heart attack or something. He just looked all pissed off. It was great. I haven't tried it yet. It should be here any day now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that one out. And then the nootropic, I got the peach ring flavor. So that looks like it's going to be a fire flavor. What you got there? Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to try that one with the skull. Is that the one with the skull? Yeah.
Show them
You're on
the
mute, Matt.
picture. The pictures on this on these supplements are cool, and they send stickers with your order too that my son liked. So.
Oh,
Cool.
nice. Well, that's good. Well, I'll tell you one supplement I'm about to get into after we talk about this other one is another one. It's a collab, and it's with Pick. We all know Pick very well. This one is with Constellation Cannabis and Skunk Processor. So it's a solventless hash rosin. About to get ready to choke up on this one after I get this one out here for you guys to chew up. The Lions and Niners. So here's the deal with the Lions and Niners. I didn't get the prop bets on this, and my fault. But I did get the historical data. So the Lions, the last time that they actually won a Super Bowl was in 1957. Their last playoff victory was in 1992. Both of
It
those
wasn't
teams.
it wasn't a Super Bowl. It was an NFL championship.
Sorry, my fault.
Yeah.
Yes, in a NFL championship. Yeah, they didn't have the Super Bowl yet. So yes, correction. They won a NFL championship in '57. The team
Don't
that
mean
they
to be
beat.
that guy.
Oh no, you know what though? It's better to be correct than to have somebody in the comments saying it wasn't technically a Super Bowl. It was an NFL championship. But you're right.
We're all a little stoned here,
Facts.
guys.
Absolute
Yep.
fact.
So
Night Train
the
Lane,
last,
baby. He led that team.
so the team that they beat. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Night Train Curse too. The team that they beat was the Niners to make it to the Super Bowl in that one. Their last playoff loss though was against Washington in 1992. They haven't been back since. It was a 31-point loss. The Lions have not won on the road in the playoffs in 66 years. Just throwing that stat out
Oh,
there.
wow.
That's one in 66. They haven't had many playoff experiences, but they haven't won
Are they
a playoff
on the
game.
road today?
They're on the road today. They're 0-11 in road postseason games since that last one. They've been to the playoffs.
When was the last one though? Like 1999?
It was 90. It was 92 when they
92.
lost to Washington. Yep, but between that 57 when they won the championship, and in these 66 years, they've been 11 times after that, and they've not won on the road. They're 0-11. Last team they beat was 66 years ago with San Francisco. That's when Detroit went to the championship that year. And at that time in 1957, the Detroit Lions, this is just putting it into context, we all know the ratio of white to black players right now in the NFL is, it's a little bit lopsided, but at that time in 1957, the Lions only had one black player. His name was John Henry Johnson. He played running back in 1957. The one thing about it, too, that I'm looking at that I want to get you guys' opinion on. Actually, I'll hold that thought. We're going to go into the color schemes and stuff, but they're both wearing their old school colors, their old school uniforms as well, too. All four teams are – the Ravens haven't been around since the 90s, so they're wearing their old school colors as well. But traditional colors is going to be a pretty big game for both franchises. Debo is look like he's active. He's going to be playing, so the Niners are going to have a full roster. This is Brock Purdy's second playoff appearance, or second year in the playoffs. He also is still in the running for MVP, even though we all know that Lamar Jackson is the front runner for it. So a good game, all in all, two great defenses. two great coaches, two great franchises. One is on the come up, on the verge, look like of a potential, multiple playoff runs for their franchise. One is been in the midst of their, playoff runs across their franchise over the last.
Losing Zach a little bit there. You guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. Until we get Zach back here, I'm going to just take off where he left off and explain some of the stats that I have for San Francisco versus Detroit. So he tapped into it. The 49ers have won 11 out of 12 of their last games against Detroit. The only loss was in Detroit. So Detroit, hasn't won a road game versus the 49ers in the playoffs or in the regular season since 1975. So there's a lot of historical data here for the San Francisco 49ers. A couple other things that I found interesting, and then I'll give you guys my pick, is that the public is hammering Detroit. You can see the line move to plus 7.5 since it started. Though. And so there's some little Vegas from time to time, in my experience, throws out things that I consider a trap game. And if the public is hammering, like 71% of bets are coming in on Detroit on the money line, and then overwhelming on the spread, but not quite as much. And the line moved to minus 7.5, aka plus 7.5 for the Lions to encourage more Lions betting. I think this one has a really good chance of being a blowout. The best one out of these two games, obviously with the high line setting, but the secondary for Detroit, you guys should weigh in here what you think. They have a star, but they have been rough. 29th, I think, in the league. Don't quote me there. I'm not Schefter, but 29th in the league in the regular season in secondary. Baker Mayfield just threw for 350 or 360, and Stafford threw for 350 before that. We have Debo coming back. This is an intriguing one. This is the first outdoor game for Detroit in 2 months. And in outdoor games, they don't score as well. Their scoring in the regular season went down to 18 points a game. So, it all leads to my pick. I'm going to go San Francisco -7. If the books are saying 7.5, I'm just going to take a little bit worse odds and get it at 7. And then I'm also going to do the under there as well. I'm going under 53. So those are my two picks for the game, guys, and some stats I'd love to hear you guys break down. But, just for Zach, who just got back on here, my picks, Zach, just to summarize, are
Sorry, fellas.
Yeah, welcome back. San Francisco and Detroit under 53, and then I'm going San Francisco minus the 7, even if I have to pay a little extra for it. I think they're going to do really well.
Okay, so you guys stay on this one, huh? You don't think Detroit's going to pull it off?
I do not. The unpopular pick across America, I said before you got back on, Zach, 72% of the money line bets are coming in on Detroit. More than half of the spread bets are coming in on Detroit, and the line is moving in their favor to encourage more bets on Detroit. So I smell something in the air. It sounds like at least
you said that most of the bets are on Detroit, and they're still moving the line in Detroit's favor to encourage more bets on Detroit?
Yeah, and so there's two
wow.
explanations to that I'll just give really quickly. One is that there's theories, because I don't work for Vegas. So these are the theories. Vegas is willing to take a risk and not have the money be 50-50 on these bets, and is saying, go ahead, public, load up on Detroit. Or what they would say, and what is most likely, is that most of the bets in volume are coming in on Detroit, but the big money bets are coming in on San Francisco, thus evening, if not pushing past the even spot, to encourage Vegas just to move it to minus 7.5 to discourage more big bets coming in on San Francisco.
Makes sense.
And either way, I like that. I want to roll with the big money bettors or Vegas over the small public bettors any day I can. If I can figure out information to fail that, I will.
The small bettors are usually like the fans. You know, the big money bettors are the people that do it for a living.
Did not think that Detroit's fans would show up like that on the betting show. You know what I mean? That's pretty. Steve, what you think about this, bro?
Zach.
Yeah, bro, your audio is really choppy, man.
Oh, sorry.
Coming in and out.
You sound like a transformer.
Steve or Kelly, give your thoughts.
My heart is with Detroit. I've always kind of rooted for them on the side just because they were just for lack of a better term, just a poverty franchise, man. One of the worst franchises in all of sports. I mean, they've been around, I believe they're almost 100 years old, and the Seahawks are, I think, pushing 50. We've been to 3 Super Bowls. They've never been to 1. They have an 0-16 team in their history. That's in 2008. So I'm rooting hard.
That'll never happen again.
Never, not in this NFL. But, you know, my heart's with the Lions, but my wallet is with the Niners. I know them like the back of my hand because we got to deal with them year over year. And I just think the Niners just come at you in waves, man. They have talent everywhere. And like Sean was saying, my biggest concern is the backfield. I know they got the rookie Branch out of Alabama, who's a stud, and they got Gardner Johnson, who's also a stud. But those corners are whack. Yep. And I think Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk are gonna have a field day out there, man. The only thing that plays into the Lions' favor is their defensive line, and if they can get to Purdy, they can rattle him. Then
that's their only hope.
Game, but that's it.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. If Aiden Hutchinson can get home.
Yeah, if you go through the roster, I do this with Zach all the time, and you go player for player, it's completely lopsided talent-wise.
They're healthy right
now. Yeah, and they got Debo back, and I mean Ayuk, who I think is arguably a better wide receiver, is running around. Kittle will be full speed.
Mitchell stepped up and will be there.
CMC is going to get his, and I hate to see it, but it's going to happen. So rooting for the Lions, but my wallet's with the Niner gang, man.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, my heart is kind of with Steve here, man. I really want the Lions to get a win. Dude, that city deserves something. That's a brutal fandom, bro. You know, to just go for decades and decades and decades and just get absolutely nothing for all of your sacrifice as a fan. That's brutal, man. So I mean, I want the Lions to get a win here. However, that being said, you know, I mean, I think the only way they really get a win here is if they sustain a pretty solid amount of pressure. You know, if they force Purdy to maybe make a couple of bad decisions, you know, maybe turn over the ball a couple of times, their run defense is going to have to just like somehow become great, kind of like randomly. Their turnovers are probably going to have to become great, you know, semi-randomly.
Yeah.
McNeil and Hutchinson are going to have to play out of their fucking minds, you know, basically the entire game. Yeah. And so that being said, I think it's overwhelmingly likely that the 49ers run away with a pretty dominant victory today. Especially because like just the completion percentage that the Lions are allowing, man, if the 49ers come in, they're just like, yeah, we're just going to fucking dink and dunk you or run it down your throat. I mean, all the data says that the Lions can't stop that at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think the combination of the tough secondary and then what I think is the worst of the 4. Granted, there's only 4 in this list, but I think the Lions have the worst defensive line out of the 4 teams left, unfortunately for them. But to give, you know, Goff some credit for something you just mentioned, Kelly, you know, his completion percentage has been probably record-setting for this playoff run. It's been pretty impressive at the very least. So I do think that the offense on Detroit can make some things happen. It's just I just don't see the defense slowing them down. Thus, that's why the total is so much higher than the other game. The total's sitting at 53. I'm still going to go under for my official pick, and San Francisco -7. But I do see this being a higher scoring game, mostly because I don't see Detroit being able to stop them.
How's my volume now, guys? Can you guys hear me okay?
You sound great.
Better.
Right on. My bad, man. I don't know what was going down, but had to move locations. I think that's a good take, Sean. Your takes need to be on Fox or something, bro, on ESPN or something for real, man. Like they're really good, dog. Like you found your niches in the prognostication of these games, bro.
All I know is if Detroit makes the Super Bowl, they need to sign Barry Sanders and give him a carry.
One carry.
Yeah,
That's it.
one carry.
Just give him one.
Well
I
deserved.
think, I just want to say one more thing, man. I think the X factor in that game also is Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell could motivate a crippled person to walk. he's incredible, man. And Zach and I were big fans of that dude before everybody jumped on the bandwagon. It was different to see him come in, and he's basically Jack Reacher as a coach. He's just a monster, and he loves his players, man. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I've seen a little bit of that before with Pete Carroll, but Pete Carroll's never played, and I think that man, you get a whole different kind of respect when you've played for 11 years. And a lot of people don't know this. Dan Campbell was on that Lions team that was 0-16, so it's a little more important to him than most.
It's such
other
a good
coaches.
story.
It is, man. I love that guy. I want to see him win, but he's running up against probably one of the greatest teams.
Craziest thing is he's the most famous Lion of them all. You know, like their head coach is the most famous player or coach or anything on the team, which is wild.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah, unpopular quarterback for sure. It's interesting to see him potentially getting to his second Super Bowl.
Goff has been really good the last 2 years. Really good.
Yeah, and that's mental, man. Did his tendons get bigger? Did his muscles get bigger? No, dude, it's all mental. Dan got with him and just built him up, and he's been just telling him, like, this city's yours. We believe in you. And, the last thing Sean McVay said to Jared Goff, allegedly, was, get this guy out of my face right now. So, you build this guy up, and, I mean, people forget he was the number 1 overall pick.
He's a peaks and valley guy. You get him to his peak, and he's great.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a reason he was the number 1 pick. He had a ton of potential coming in, and I mean, he was a stud with the Rams for a couple years too. The year he took him to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
yeah, the year he took him to the Super Bowl. I mean, people just look at that Super Bowl, and it was like the biggest dud of a Super Bowl ever. But Tom Brady played like crap too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was literally the most boring Super Bowl I've ever watched. But that season, he crushed it.
He did.
What do you guys think about this new era of coaching? So we're looking at 2024 with Bill Belichick jobless and not really a whole lot of possibilities on the horizon. Is this the end of those coaching?
That old guard?
Of like, hey, you guys got to do it my way. This is my system, or the highway. I'll get rid of you. It's not about the player. It's about the system. Is this a new era that we're going into that you guys think? We have 6 new head coaches that just emerged, 4 of them being minority, which, again, we're not talking about that topic, just talking about this new guard of the players are, for Antonio Pierce, you had Max Crosby, who was like, trade me. If you guys get rid of the coach, trade me. I'm not leaving. I'm not going to be playing another year with the old guard coach. You start seeing players demanding for this new type of regime. It looks to me like they're very player first or player friendly, where they care about the bonuses of the players. They care about the fact that the team is happy at the end of the game, no matter the win or loss. What are we seeing here, fellas? What do you guys think? You think this is a mix of it, or do you think this is the end of that type of era?
I definitely think it's the end of an era, man. The writing's on the wall, and I think you're seeing people move more towards offensive-oriented coaches. Because think about all the coaches who got fired: Vrabel, fired, defensive guy. Pete Carroll, fired, defensive guy. Bill Belichick, fired, defensive guy. Who else got like, oh, they're all basically defensive, and everyone wants
Good point.
that next hot, offense where you can just throw people open. Everyone wants a Shanahan or a McVay or, a Ben Johnson out of Detroit, who's done a great job there. And I think you're just seeing the league kind of just evolve into a more offensive-oriented young man's game. All these coaches who got let go outside of maybe Vrabel, they were older, man. And it's just, like Zach was saying, man, it's a different feel. It's a different game. You got to relate to these people. You got to relate to these young guys. Dan Campbell does a great job at that. Shanahan must. I know McVay does. And, these guys are young and they're vibrant. And I think that's just the way it's going. If you look at all the hirings and firings, I mean, the data pretty much tells you that.
I think Steve nailed it. I mean, he mentioned connection, which I'll get to in a second, but he also mentioned the defensive, similarities between a lot of the people getting let go, and then age. So age was a factor in most of those outside of Vrabel, right? But, the old guy that didn't get let go is Andy Reid, and he's the most offensive-minded out of all of them. And so I think that's keeping him around. I also know that he is able to connect well. And I do think that going younger and more offensive makes sense. We see with more data and analytics, what happened in the NBA. The NBA has 150-plus point games on you. They have 300. The total sometimes on games hits 300 points these days. There's rarely a game that a team doesn't score under 100 points. And so we've seen it in other sports where the evolution is towards more points and more offense. And so it makes sense that would happen. And then the other thing Steve mentioned that I want to go further into is connection. I mean, with knowledge comes the ability to educate, but there's no education without connection. And it's hard, I think, for some of these older guys to connect. When I was in school, I gravitated towards younger teachers, regardless of their expertise, and that connection that I kind of built, but then they had with me, enabled me to get some of that or more of that education out of them. So I think the youth factor is real. I think the offensive focus is real. And I think we're going to continue to see more and more of it.
It's a great fucking point, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if I don't know if the old guard necessarily has completely ended, because I think there was still a relatively substantial percentage of the old guard that were just CEO coaches, and that's still technically true today. There are still a number of CEO-minded coaches. Now, most recently, we had one come out of college and he didn't do so good, but there are plenty, that are still doing just fine today. Now, that being said, I mean, even like a Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is an incredible culture builder, right? A very CEO type culture builder, and he's worked out great for Detroit. I mean, we just talked about some of those stats. He's bringing back wins after decades of loss. So I don't think necessarily the old guard is completely gone, but I do think that we are seeing more of a focus on players, coaches, and certainly people who can connect better with the players. I mean, the players are paid a lot of money. They have a lot of leverage and a lot of power. So it does make a lot more sense to have a coach that can connect on that level. And I also think that this huge search for offensive coordinators is just to find consistency. The nicest thing about the Shanahans and the McVays, man, is that year over year you see consistency, right? Whereas many of these other teams, even with CEO-minded coaches there, you wind up going through OCs and defensive coordinators, and then year over year your consistency just kind of drops off. So I do think that there's a yearning for that kind of consistency and a yearning for a kind of unique branding that only an offensive coach with very new ideas can bring to a football team. How far that trend will go, I don't know, because I'm over here wanting McDonald's, old shark eyes. So what can I say?
And shout out, Mike Tomlin. Shout out Andy Reid. I mean, even people like Campbell and Harbaugh eventually, or even soon, will be considered part of the old guard too, because of their mentality. So And there has been some shakiness on the young coach approach. Like Kelly said, look, McVay got him a Super Bowl, and then, I mean, isn't as consistent as a lot of these older coaches once they do. So, I mean, we'll see what happens there. Great success to win a Super Bowl. Can't knock it at all. But good points, Kelly.
Yeah, when you see these younger-minded offensive coaches, it seems a lot like the young offensive-minded coaches against the older, more established defensive-minded coaches, with the exception of Andy Reid. Andy Reid is that hybrid old-school coach that still relates to his players,
Amen.
that had the process, early on to be able to evaluate Alex Smith and say, yeah, this guy is good, but he's not going to be able to. He can get me to the playoffs consistently, but he's not going to be able to get me to Super Bowls. And we need to trade up and, trade up 10, 15 spots, whatever it is that he went up to go and draft a guy like Patrick Mahomes. So
Yeah.
I think one thing with the younger coaches, too, is, their ability to evaluate younger talent for quarterbacks and then go up and be able to do that. So hopefully, like I said, with the Seahawks, hopefully you guys find a coach like that where if you have to trade up to be able to go and get your Patrick Mahomes, he was traded up and grabbed. Your Allen from the Bills, he was traded up and grabbed. So sometimes you have to be able to take those risks, and the percentage of times that fails is a lot of the reasons why, a lot of the older coaches don't do it, because they've been around long enough to be able to say, hey, man, hey, we don't do that around here. We let the picks fall to us, and we'll get it, because we've seen how many flops of quarterbacks have been, lost in the first round. But with the younger, newer coaches, they don't give a shit about that. They're like, no, that's my guy. I'm a CJ Stroud. That's my dude. I'm gonna go and grab him. So when you're seeing younger coaches like that, I think that's what the biggest change for me is their ability to evaluate that talent too, and go grab whoever they want. Don't care about what anybody says about it, and then they can run those young QBs now too. So now, remember back in the day, if you were a brand new quarterback and you were a rookie, even if you were a first round pick, go sit on the bench, young blood. Go over there, go learn, go pick up the books and a headset and talk and communicate and learn that first. You're going to sit for 2 or 3 years. You look at some of the ones that, really did good besides that point. But for the most part, that was the coaching staff. That was like their mentality to have. It was like, nope, you're going to sit and you're going to learn. The new mentality with the new coaching regimes are, hey, we see young talent. We're going to let that young talent play for the next 4 years.
And
if
get
he
our
pans out,
money's worth.
yeah, we'll give him another 3. And then if it pans out, we'll do, 2x2 or 3x3 deals. But I think that's where it's at now. And where a lot of the older coaches like Bill Belichick, he wasn't able to do that. He tried with Mac Jones, but he wasn't an offensive-minded coach, so he couldn't mentor those guys like that.
They need to move on there.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. I'll put my conspiracy theory voice on this one. Have you guys seen the deal that was going around about the design? Have you guys seen the cover of the Super Bowl so far?
No. Is this a number? Is this a number
Yeah.
conspiracy?
No, man, it's a color. It's a color scheme. So it's purple and red. It's purple and red, and they designed that at the beginning of the season, so that when it came out, they had every color for the last 4 or 5 years has had the teams that have made it to the Super Bowl.
What?
And I don't know if they're going just off of the Vegas, odds off of this, but they have them where it's purple and it's actually our header for today's show. So you'll be able to, folks in YouTube land, you can go back when you click on our link to go watch this, and make sure you guys like it too. I mean, come on, give us a like for this. We're giving you some cutting edge conspiracy theories here.
Please.
But yeah, it's purple and red. So that's telling us it's going to be the Vikings and either one of the red teams.
Oh, the Ravens.
Well,
yeah. Wow.
It'll be the Niners, I suppose.
We'll see. Hey, I have one last bet for us.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
That I just saw at the bottom of my docket, and I want to recap my bets for everybody. So I'm going to go through all of them before we end here, and I'm going to let you know who I'm taking today. So Kansas City versus Baltimore, I'm taking the under 45. San Francisco versus Detroit, I'm taking the under 53. In the Chiefs Ravens game, I'm taking Pacheco over 13.5 carries. I'm taking the Chiefs +7, and then I'm taking the Niners -7. But my last bet that I couldn't see at the bottom of my notes that I really like, and it could be fun, I don't say put the house on it, but all 4 teams to get at least a field goal, and this pays out plus money, I'm taking all 4 teams get a field goal today. And 4 things to go your way, no matter how likely they are, is an unlikely scenario. So don't put a ton of money on it, but it's a fun one that'll keep you engaged through the end of the second game that I do think will hit. So
That was beautiful.
There you go.
That
Good luck today,
was well said.
Win
Well
some
said.
money.
I like that. For entertainment purposes only, that's all that is for us. Hey,
Win some
if you
tokens.
want to talk to him, what I'm saying, and it works. Hey, we'll drop the cash app on the next episode, and what I'm saying, you got to pay your boy out, man. Come on, man.
Legal
Sharing
states
is
only. Bet what you can lose and have fun.
One thing real quick about cannabis we'll bring up. What's crazy is the news feeds lately, the last week or so, have really dried up. They did discuss one thing before this one I'll bring up is that Illinois, Michigan, Missouri, and Massachusetts are just crushing it right now. Their numbers are just record breaking. There's going to be we already have our first $2 billion state with I think it was either Illinois or Massachusetts. Michigan is looking like they're going to have some strong numbers here, fellas, in the first quarter. So I'm looking forward to that. They're going to be releasing January's report here soon on how 2024 has looked. The Dow Jones has broken record numbers. They've reached over 37,000 points recently. So it looks like the market is indicating that it's going to be a very good market for us going into 2024. But one thing about the legality behind cannabis that I found pretty interesting this week is something that happened in 2021. It was February 2021 in Minnesota. So put yourself in the clothes of Jonathan and Jonte Robinson, 2 brothers that were driving around Minneapolis, get pulled over for going 68 and a 55. The cop walks up, smells weed, arrests him, pulls him out. Jonte was the driver, I believe, and he didn't want to get out of the vehicle. He looked extremely nervous. They pulled him out, arrested him. They found a loaded pistol in the center console and 1.4 grams of cannabis that was in the center console. 1.4 grams. He did 365 days in jail. And again, I don't like to put people's business out there usually on this, but I found that it was interesting that upon his appeal on this, the courts decided that the cops didn't have original probable cause. You know why? The smell of cannabis was not probable cause. And for those that, just need a quick update of what the difference between reasonable suspicion, probable cause, and, making someone guilty in court is, reasonable suspicion is enough to be able to have a hunch. Probable cause is you believe that you have more than 51% to arrest a person or to take them to jail because of something. So they felt like the smell of cannabis upon their arrival of contacting Jonathan at the driver's seat was enough to be able to pull their guns out, pull them out, find the pistol and 1.4 grams. And he appealed it. He won it under 2 conditions of that smell, as well as they found out that he did 365 days and the maximum penalty for that crime was 364. So I know that you guys all probably have some thoughts on that. Man, if you want to go first, Sean, have at it.
I mean, we're all been in the weed game for a while. He broke two major rules. One, if you're smoking weed, don't speed. Come on. If you got weed in the car, don't speed. Anyway, the second rule he broke: don't do illegal shit when you have your gun on you. So, I mean, I with that
One or the
said,
other. It's always one or the other. You can't have both at
Come on.
the same time. And in Minneapolis, bro, like,
come on. So he broke a couple rules, but I mean, he served more than the maximum time already, and before winning the appeal. So, I mean, it sounds pretty legitimate that he won his appeal. I'm happy he did. I think that was excessive for weed in general, especially that amount of weed. We got to get away from, locking people up for small amounts of marijuana. It's got to stop.
Steve, what's your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, man. I think you kind of echo what Sean said. You got to be on your P's and Q's if you're choosing to have a loaded weapon and drugs. I don't think it's legal in Minnesota. I'm pretty sure it's not. So, but at the
This was
same
in
time, man, we got to stop
2021 as
locking.
well, too.
Okay. Yeah. So I just
This
think
was
that
about 3 years ago.
I just think that you gotta stop locking people up for this. It's asinine. It's totally backwards, and that alone needs to stop.
Kelly, what you think, bro?
Locking up people for weed is so fucking stupid, man. It's just so dumb. It's so stupid. Just do a diversion program. You know what I mean? Like, I think most kids and most young adults who've gotten in a lot of trouble with anything, drugs, firearms, certainly with drugs, and certainly with cannabis, it's like, if there's nothing violent going on, if this is not a violent charge, I'd prefer to just do a diversion program. That way you can get that citizen back into the economy so that we can kind of push our country a little bit further. I don't think it's super valuable to throw them in prison and to, effectively destroy their labor for the rest of their life.
Yeah,
Interesting.
definitely.
Yeah, good point.
What about you, Matt? You there, bro?
He's petting the cat.
Yep, Matt's having cat time. That's
He'll
all
be back.
good.
Petting the cat.
We'll check back in with him.
I'm here. I'm
there
here.
you go.
All right,
There you go.
Yeah, I was on mute and I was trying to click the mic off. All right. So sorry. What's the question?
What's your thoughts on that? Did you hear what was going down in Minnesota?
Oh yeah. I mean, I echo what we all think. I mean, prosecuting people for cannabis in 2024 is just absolutely asinine, especially when more than half of the country and even some of the historically very illegal right-wing red states are starting to legalize it for medicinal use. I mean, some of the laws regarding gun ownership and cannabis use need to be revised because it's more ridiculous that an alcoholic can own a gun than someone who uses cannabis here and there. So, I mean, because that's the part that really screwed the guy was the fact that he had a loaded gun in the center console,
Plus weed.
plus weed. But a gram and a half of weed. This guy's obviously not like some crazy
Dealer.
Yeah, come on, man. A gram and a half. I mean, that's barely enough for personal use.
Yeah.
So, it's asinine, and I'm happy that the government is actually looking at these cases and throwing them out and just, basically discouraging police officers from ever even, thinking about wasting anyone's time.
Absolutely, I agree. They have a thing that's called fruits of the poisonous tree, right? And so, as the title would presume, anything, if you find something in evidentiary value and it's tossed out because of illegality, everything contingent upon that is fruit of that poisonous tree, and it gets tossed out. So one thing that is a very good take-home message for people that would be listening about this is it's definitely legal advice for this, but I'm not an expert or lawyer or anything, but I would say the take-home message is that you may have some type of fruit and it may be a poisonous tree, so you never give permission to be able to do anything. I was just talking to a friend of mine that had to go through, unfortunately, a DUI for drinking and volunteered to even take some of the field sobriety tests. Just keep in mind that all of that stuff is voluntary. You have a right to be able to say no. No, you don't have, the right to search my vehicle or whatever. They may give you a line of it, but if that was the case, go to a judge and go get it signed and go search my shit at that point. That's where I think this case law is going to start predicting for the rest of law enforcement across the country. One thing, and then second part to keep in mind to this too, is that since then, we talked about it, I think, in previous episodes in the past, but Minnesota is the first state that is trying out remember this, guys? They're trying out a portable analyzer test for cannabis.
Oh yeah.
So you blow into the tube and so this happened in 2021. Now we're fast forward in 2024. They can pull you over, they can smell cannabis, and they can ask you, do you want to take a portable, breathalyzer test that can be able to figure out if you have cannabinoids in your breath or in your system from that means. So it's going to be pretty weird out there. Minnesota looks like they're going to be leading the effort on whatever this is going down with cannabis. So that's basically what was going down in the news out of the ordinary. Anything else, it was pretty standard. Was weird even.
I saw a strange article. It was about Trulieve over in Arizona. Did you see that?
I did about the unions.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about that, gentlemen? There's a company out there. Its workers were, essentially the first ones to vote in a union and to fully unionize. What do you guys think about that?
At Trulieve in Arizona, how many employees do they have?
I can't remember. I think it was like 30 or 40 or something like that. Were the ones that took the vote.
I think for a company like Trulieve, I think it's probably a good thing for the employees so they can actually band together and, get what they deserve. Because a company like Trulieve that's nationwide, a lot of times they exploit their employees. I mean,
Well,
a lot of smaller farms and stores, though, I see it as kind of a detriment, because it takes away a lot of the culture and your ability to do other things.
So there's probably around 40, 50 at that local location. But like you said, nationwide, there's 300 jobs. So it would affect all 300 jobs.
Bam.
Yeah, that could be a good thing. Because if you look at, like Matt said, you get big corporations like Amazon, and Walmart, insert whatever big corporation, not just trying to single those guys out, but a lot of these big corporations, they block their employees from unionizing and even discussing wages and talking about it on the workforce. So I think it could be a good thing, especially when there's been no standard met to how to employ cannabis employees yet. And, the health, the wages, the Medicare, the retirement, all of those things, a lot of cannabis employees give up just to be forefathers in the industry sometimes. We may be in a position to where a lot of our friends and coworkers that we see around us, they're going to reach their 60s and 70s, and we're going to look around and they may be in a completely different situation. They may be, a lot of them are going to go broke, and they don't realize this because their companies aren't paying into their retirement funds because they're getting, cash. And so no one's really doing a good plan for what that's going to look like in the next 20 or 30 years. So I would say that it could be a good thing with the hopes that they have good union representation on both ends. If you don't have that and you don't have fair communication and it's one-sided, then it makes a really, really hard time for the future of how that's going to look in Arizona. But with Arizona being in that $1 billion marketplace now, they're in that Big 10 or that Big 13, I guess now, for states that have been over $1 billion. They're going to write a blueprint for everyone else across the country. So don't fuck it up, Arizona. Truly, don't fuck it up.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I think unionization is such a case-by-case thing. I think anyone that says they're always good or always bad is just lying or uninformed. So I think in general, though, I do think that that unions are going to be scrambling right now before next election to try to unionize as many places as they can. I think they're hedging their bets in case, which is looking more and more probable that Trump wins the next election, which would, by historical data, be helpful for companies, not the unions. And so and that's just my very low amount of knowledge on the topic. Don't ever anyone take it too personal or anything, but I do think that we'll see more of this. Is my point, that unions right now are, whether or not it goes either way in the next election, they're going to scramble right now to make sure that they attempt as many of these as they can. I think that's a little dangerous, because I think that if that's the goal, that you might end up going after maybe some companies that don't need it, or where it's going to hurt them more than help. So that's why I say it's a case by case, and I hope any unionizations that happen are a win-win for the company and the workforce.
That's facts.
Which is rare, but I hope for it.
What are your thoughts, Kelly? What you think about this, bro?
I have such mixed feelings, man. I really do. I've got very mixed feelings, just because, cannabis runs off of pretty thin margins, right? And, we talked about Walmart a little bit there, kind of threw them into the conversation. And, a big reason for why they're likely blocking it, right, is that they want to maximize their margins as much as humanly possible. And they don't want to reduce their flexibility when it comes to wages or when it comes to their brick and mortar storefronts. So since cannabis is largely a brick and mortar retail game, and since cannabis runs largely on pretty thin margins, it seems like the wide scale application of unions might hurt cannabis more than help cannabis in its current state. But if in the future, margins were to be improved, like if we were, if everybody was running off of, some of these mega greenhouse margins that we know of, if everybody was running off of those margins, then, I think unions would be fantastic. But I also think that as an individual worker, you have to just understand kind of some of the pluses and minuses of a union. So like me, myself, I would not allow somebody to negotiate on my behalf in the form of a union, because I know that I would negotiate better for my skills and wages than any representative would. Right. And so it's going to be a very individual and case by case basis. Some of you out there might think, yeah, I think I'm a better negotiator. I don't want somebody to have that conversation for me. And some of you might think, I don't ever want to have that conversation. I'd rather be part of a group so I have more leverage. And I think both cases are right and both cases can be justified. I just think in cannabis right now, the margins are so thin that the flexibility, the reduction in flexibility would hurt. But maybe in the long run, when Amazon takes it over, and we're talking about cost per grams that are below a cent, then I think we're all right, guys.
That's going to be a pretty big farm if they can get the cost per gram down that low.
Pretty big farm with pretty little hands with spurious wage laws.
Amazon will figure it out.
Oh, man.
Well,
hey, back to football. I have a trivia for you guys. All right.
Yeah, hit me.
What is Andy Reid's record in the playoffs versus his former assistants?
He don't want nobody beat his ass. He's undefeated, bro.
Undefeated.
He's undefeated.
Okay. Anybody have a guess? A specific record or a general statement like Zach?
I'm going to go the exact opposite of Zach and say he's been beaten every time.
Stephen, Matt?
I'm going to say 500. Even split.
Someone's gonna get it right here.
I'm gonna say a cool, clean 22-9.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and these are playoff games. In the 5 playoff games.
Hey, you didn't specify playoff games. 5-0 in playoff games.
There you go. Well said. And he nailed it. 5-0.
This is called a Google search, gentlemen.
Hey. Not fair.
God
Hey,
damn.
next time you get a 1 trivia punishment. But 5-0 against former assistants, and Harbaugh, I believe, I know he was an assistant. I think it was in 98 or 99.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harbaugh was the assistant for Reed when he was with the Eagles?
Yeah.
Which one?
The one he's playing today.
One?
Yeah, the Harbaugh today, Ravens Harbaugh.
Yep.
Okay.
John. What is that? Is that John? Yeah, that's John, right?
Did John play professional football too? I know Jim did. I remember watching him play for the Colts.
Yeah, one was drafted by the Bears, and one played for the.
He played special teams.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so Jim was the quarterback though.
Yeah, Jim was the man.
Yeah.
He was a good player.
Yeah, he's Captain Comeback.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Matt and Zach a question. How do you guys feel now that Thanos has landed over in Los Angeles, and you guys have to deal with him twice a year?
I mean, I don't know. He has Justin Herbert as a quarterback, and I think
for now.
What you think Herbert might leave?
I think that he's gonna ship Herbert. Listen, you can call me crazy, but I think that John is 27-1 with McCarthy. I think he's gonna ship old boy out, and I think he's gonna go get his dude McCarthy and install him and get $200 million off the books.
Wow.
Off the books, clear that cap space out, and start fresh with his guy.
I hate that take. I don't think McCarthy will ever be a good NFL quarterback. I don't think he has the arm talent to be that guy. And I think Herbert blows McCarthy out of the water as far as like quarterbacking goes.
You know, I can get crazy? With that.
And I think Harbaugh will be able to bring the best out of him, more than like Staley was able to.
Okay.
Well
Man, ain't nobody scared of that bitch ass motherfucker, bro. We ain't scared of his ass, bro. Bro, every year there's always a new gimmick that the AFC West tries to bring, and there's always one fact that's always remaining that I don't like personally, is that Red 15 and Big Red run that division until anybody else has anything else to say about it. They got to go through there and beat them. And that's going to stay there for the next 2 to 3 years. Harbaugh's a good coach. He drafts very well. I foresee that he's going to have a conversation with Herbert, find out that Herbert's a very quiet, intellectual guy that's a lot like McCarthy, and probably fall in love with that dude. If there is any inclination that he wants to get rid of him, he could probably stumble upon JJ as well and have a succession plan where he can be able to trade Herbert to the Bears, and that would leave Justin Fields open. And I think that it's going to be a very wild AFC West division that the Raiders are prepared for, because we just got a dude that ain't scared of shit right now as the head coach. And we got their former GM, which knows their books and knows where all the bodies are buried for the next couple of years. So I don't know. I think that Harbaugh is a good guy. I like that we have some very good stories that we've laughed about in the past about how he's just been intellectually just a complete weirdo. If you guys haven't looked up
they call
Jim Harbaugh, look up Jim Harbaugh peanut butter and jelly sandwich story.
I told my mom that story yesterday, bro, at breakfast, and she couldn't believe it.
I feel like I don't want.
She was like, "Really?"
You know, bro, it is the best. It is the best story you will hear. About Jim Harbaugh all time.
All right.
So Jim Harbaugh, during the free agency period where Peyton Manning was leaving the Colts, right? Remember the whole neck issue, and he was getting ready to leave. And they were like, the Colts weren't going to pay him what he was worth, and he was about to bounce. So he left from the Colts. His very first visit was with Harbaugh and the Niners. And so he goes out to some place in Tennessee, I believe, or Kentucky, that was a property that was privately owned that had a football field on it. And this old lady, really super old lady, that was a nice, sweet old gal that Manning knew, and he was knowing her, I guess, throughout his college years or whatnot. Let him go out there and show what he was worth to Harbaugh. So Harbaugh brings Jim Roman, I believe, his offensive coordinator at the time, with him. He said, this is coming from Peyton Manning, right? And he says that how weird it was because at first they are across the street and they have binoculars and they have their hoodies on and they're all covered up and they're looking at him and they're like, go, play, just throw the ball. So he's doing his workout and they're afar because they don't want to show that it's them that's, they're watching him work out. So Peyton Manning's just out there just thunder and lightning, throwing the ball, and they're across the street just like, yeah, that's great. So finally, they go onto the field, and they go and talk to the old lady. The old lady says, in a very nice tone, she's like in her late 80s, maybe early 90s, right? And she's like, hey, is there anything I can get for you boys? You guys want anything? Peyton Manning's like in a very, like nice tone. He's like, no, thank you, ma'am. He knows already, like, there's no way she's going to want to go and fucking get any food or nothing. So he's like, no, ma'am, I'm fine. No, thank you. They asked the guy that was with Peyton, his agent and all that. They're all like, no, ma'am, no, thank you. The offensive coordinator for the Niners, no, ma'am, no, thank you. Yeah. And Harbaugh, she goes to him. He's like, he doesn't even look up at her. He's like, yeah, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And she's like, what? She's like, what'd you say? He's like,
called your
peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah, he's like, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And so he like nudges. He said that he nudges Manning, Peyton Manning, and he goes, yeah, with these old ladies, you got, whenever they offer you something, it's really rude not to take anything from it. He's like, I know. He's like, I know, at least for my mom, if she offers something and I don't take it, I don't tell her to, go get me something, she'll take it as me being rude. You know what I mean?
I mean, sure, Peyton, but read the room.
Yeah, and so Manning's like, that's the reason why I'm not wearing a 49er jersey and going to the Super Bowl, in those pictures to this day.
Wow.
I decided to go elsewhere. My man said peanut butter and jelly.
And it just didn't work out for the old Southern Charm gentleman. That's wild.
Nah, man, nah. Peyton wasn't feeling that shit. So I think that having him at the helm as a recruiter, I'm not worried about him, man. If he, I mean, let him go out and just screw up whatever, man. It'll be good.
Oh, but that's funny.
Yeah, man. So I guess we're about almost 35 minutes away from kickoff.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, man. I got my joint. I got that knocked out. I got my coffee. I'm at Studio Z right now, so I'm legally parked consuming. But yeah, man.
Allegedly.
Right. Other than that, Sean, man, what do you got for lasting thoughts, bro? What do you think?
I mean, I hope I'm right, obviously, because I went heavy on defense today. Unders on both is risky. But, I mean, I think at the very least, one of these games is an old slobber knocker, an old defensive battle. Even the 49ers one, like I could see both defenses stepping up in the second game and it being potentially low scoring too. So I'm pretty confident that we're not going to shit the bed today and go over. We've got some risky bets out there in terms of odds, but I think that helps our potential record today with the Chiefs +7. And then some really fun stuff with the every team gets a field goal. So anyone that's watching, whether or not you bet that, please root for me. I need all the luck I can get, and I'm going to be cheering for every team to get a fucking field goal at some point today to make my day.
Nice, man. Nice. Good bets, good props.
Let's
go. Is there a place you want people to find you, or you want them to find you right here?
Yeah, just keep finding me right here. And guys, we'd appreciate subscribes and likes and comments. Did see some stuff from Niner Gang, so we appreciate all the involvement and following us along. And if you are catching this and it's not live, subscribe and hit the alerts button, the bell, so that you can get notified when we do go live, because we'd love to talk to you while we do this next time as well.
There you go. There you go. I like it. I like it. Appreciate you as always, Sean.
Yes,
Matt, what's up with you, buddy? How you feeling, man? Any lasting thoughts about the game or anything else that's going on in the world?
I'm just excited to see these games today in preparation for the Super Bowl 2 weeks from today. So should be an awesome one. And yeah, thanks for having me. Anybody watching, hit that like and subscribe button so you can stay up on your cannabis and sports news with the Good Karma Group.
There you go.
Absolutely.
As you heard, the man there, Matt himself. Appreciate you as well, Matt. Your insights, as always, my friend, are always a pleasure, bro. I love just sitting back and chatting with you guys. Before we get to you, Steve, shout out to Kelly. Looks like he got disconnected, but always appreciate having him on as well too, our other co-host. But yeah, when he get that connection back, I'm sure he would hop on if we get a chance to check off. If not, then we appreciate you, Kelly, for your insights as well too today. And Steve, man, you as well, my friend. What's good with you? You want people to find you? What's your insights on today? And it looks like we will be able to grab Kelly back on, just like we get.
Good.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Okay, magic.
What's up?
Sorry about that,
Just give me a
gentlemen.
shout out.
Just giving you a little outro, bro.
Yeah,
for
man.
sure.
Yep.
Signing off, Kelly.
Well, I mean, gentlemen, as always, it's fantastic. You know what I mean? It's always good to jump on with y'all. I'm about to go drive up north here and go figure out a place to go watch this Ravens game. I don't know about you guys, but that's about the only thing that's super important to me right now.
Go drive
And then, yeah, I'll probably check in with you guys sometime next week. We're gonna have another pod.
Absolutely.
Yep.
As always, like we were just talking about, man, we appreciate you and your insights, bro. And then, like I said, next time we'll catch you as always. And pass it to you, Steve. What'd you say, bro?
I want to leave you guys with this, man. I've been sitting on this for about an hour after Zach brought it up. So Kellen Moore, for those who don't know, is from a tiny little town Zach and I are real familiar with called Prosser, Washington.
Oh.
And what's weird about Prosser, Washington,
No way. He's from Prosser? Kellen Moore?
Yeah, dog.
He's from Prosser.
Yep.
And he's their all-time high school leading quarterback. I think he has some state records too. And another cool fun fact about Prosser is they've churned out 2 other coaches you might have heard of that are from there. One's name is Scott Linehan. He used to be the head coach for the Rams. He's from Prosser. And another guy's name is Greg Roman, who was Jim Harbaugh's offensive coordinator for the Niners for 9 years. And Cooper Kupp is also from that general area. So that whole valley area is just loaded with this oddball football intelligence of some sort.
And for those of you outside of Washington, there's not a lot of population. So per capita, wow, Prosser, hats off.
Yeah, they're just pumping talent out.
Yeah, and Prosser and Yakima's like Bumfuckistan.
Yeah, easy. And, probably the coolest fact is Zach opened up one of the country's first retail shops in Prosser, Washington, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and it's still there.
Wow.
So, cool little town, pumping out great weed, pumping out great football talent. And I'm actually on my way to go watch this game with some family and friends right now. So, go Ravens, go Lions. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Later, guys. Most small towns, people either have kids or do drugs. There, they either do drugs or become football coaches.
It's true.
It's good.
Speaking of football and basketball and sports, we got 5 of us here. I would probably put up our 5 against anybody else's YouTube Big 5 on the basketball court. On a football court, we can add 6 more, make it a squad.
Careful there.
What table tennis? What else we got here? Golfing, shooting,
recreational sports, baby.
what, paintball. We go out to add what else
Hey,
to it? Airsoft.
selling.
I
Yes.
mean, so yeah,
Airsoft.
however you guys want to chop it. I mean, that challenge goes out to anybody out there. You know, respectfully, if you guys want to see us on the basketball court, where we can start there.
Let's
You
get
know,
it.
then we can finish off at the paintball. You know, do whatever we got to do.
I'm
But
going to show off
yeah,
the trophy case next week so people know the level of athleticism I achieved in my early years.
I like
When
it.
I was
I
about
like
12 or 13 years old, I was the man.
I like it. I like it, man. Yeah, we go definitely have to have a little showcase about that. But I think our five is pretty damn athletic, man. I would put us up against anybody. Let's see. We'll go 25 and up. We'll go 25 and up. Young fellas,
There you
y'all
go. Thank you.
y'all
Yes,
stay
I'm
at
much
home,
more
man.
confident now.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we got about 20 minutes to the game. Steve, get to your destination safe, bro. Sean, always a pleasure to see you again, my man. Kelly, Matt, always a pleasure. Until next time. And I guess you know what? Since it's game day and everybody's responsible about it, we might as well go ahead and just pop on our
I wanna get higher than the motherfucker. I'm gonna say it again. Somebody roll the weed. It's my song. I wanna get higher than the motherfucker. One more time. Somebody roll the weed. I wanna get higher than a motherfucker. Hear me again. Somebody roll the weed. I wanna get higher than a motherfucker. Can you tell me what you wanna get?